categories. The first one is, did Jesus die on the cross? Was he dead? Virtually every scholar on planet Earth concedes that Jesus was dead after crucifixion. We have no record of anyone anywhere ever surviving a full Roman crucifixion. Even the Journal of the American Medical Association published a peer-reviewed scientific medical study of the evidence for the death of Jesus and said clearly the weight of the evidence indicates that Jesus was dead even before the wound to his side was inflicted. Even the atheist New Testament scholar Gerd Ludemann says historically it's indisputable that Jesus was dead. So Jesus was dead. The second category.
Okay, so okay, let me just get to the okay, so he says that it's virtually certain that Jesus was dead on the cross. Now, the problem with this claim is if you read the Gospel of Mark, chapter 15, verse 44, I believe, Pontius Pilate was surprised that Jesus was already announced dead. The reason why is because death by crucifixion took days, not hours. Jesus was only on the cross for, I believe, 6 hours. 6 hours or something like that. So anyways, Jesus was only on the cross for a few hours, according to the Gospels. So this means that in order to die on the cross, you need to be on the cross for at least 3 to 4 days. Jesus was on the cross for only a short amount of time. He was only on the cross for, I think 6 hours, maybe 8 hours. I don't know, but I think Jesus was on the cross for only 6 hours, according to Christian scholars, according to the New Testament narrative or the gospel narratives. So if Jesus was on the cross for a short amount of time, how is Jesus dead? I mean, in order to die on the cross, you need to be on the cross for a few days. Jesus was on the cross for a few hours. So it's certain that it's very likely that Jesus survived, even without a supernatural cause or even without a theological cause. The other reason is, now notice what Lee Strobel says here. He says, one second here. He says, let me get to the, he says, we have no record of anyone anywhere surviving a full Roman crucifixion. That is complete bullshit, because if you read Josephus's work, Josephus says that there are 3 people who were crucified. One was taken down alive. So surviving the Roman crucifixion is certainly possible. So according to the ancient Jewish writer or the ancient Jewish historian Josephus, he saw 3 people crucified, 1 survived. One was taken down from the cross alive. So you can certainly survive crucifixion even without any kind of supernatural means. So the reason why everybody says Jesus died on the cross is because they don't believe in the supernatural. So the atheistic naturalistic conclusion is that someone's crucified, they're dead. But there's no evidence to support this, or there's no solid proof, there's no solid evidence to support the death of Jesus on the cross, given that he was only on the cross for a few hours, and given Pontius Pilate's marvel that Jesus was, taken down and announced dead, because Pontius Pilate knew that Pontius Pilate knew that death by crucifixion took a few days, not a few hours. Jesus was only on the cross for a few hours. So, what killed Jesus on the cross? Nothing. Because even if you were to grant the spear story in the Gospel of John, according to church fathers, that was a symbolic passage. It wasn't taken literally. But only the Gospel of John reports the spearing on Jesus' side. Matthew, Mark, and Luke don't have the Roman soldiers stabbing Jesus on the side with the spear. So according to Christian scholars like Raymond Brown, etc., that was a later invention by the Gospel of John, the spear thrust, or the Roman soldier spearing Jesus on the side. So what killed Jesus on the cross? Nothing. There's no evidence that Jesus died on the cross. But my personal theory, the theory that I always held on to, and the theory I think that supports the Quran, chapter 4, verse 157, which they didn't kill him nor did they crucify him, it just looked like they did, was that Jesus was crucified, but God kept Jesus alive. but this theory only works given a supernatural view or a theological view. If you're an atheist, then the atheists would reject this because they don't believe in God and the supernatural and miracles to begin with. But since Christians and Muslims believe in the supernatural and miracles, Jesus was crucified and he was kept alive by supernatural means or by God, and then he was taken down from the cross alive. There is no reason to believe Jesus died on the cross, even given the Gospels of Matthew, even given a careful reading of the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We can see that there's nothing that killed Jesus on the cross. Even without that spearing through our story in the Gospel of John. So I believe Jesus survived the crucifixion. And I believe that no atheist or Christian can disprove my theory because Christians believe in the supernatural and atheists don't believe in the supernatural. They don't believe in miracles, but Christians do believe in supernatural and miracles. So Christians can't disprove my claim. So again, this is just what these Christians say. They reject miracles. In order to disprove the Quran or in order to disprove what the Quran is saying. But, the theory that Jesus was taken down alive from the cross cannot be disproven. So, I don't know. But I don't support the substitution theory that somebody else was crucified instead of Jesus. I think that's completely false given the first century evidence. Since the first century evidence, which is the only evidence from the early periods of Christianity, which is the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the Pauline epistles, the Peterine epistles, the so-called Peterine epistles, the Book of James, Revelation, all these Acts of the Apostles, all these New Testament documents in the first century say Jesus was crucified. So we have to take that as historical fact and not rely on other documents that talk about the substitution theory, since those documents came in the second and third century and don't have any connection to the earliest period, which is the period of the disciples and period of the writing of the New Testament. So we can safely reject the substitution theory, and the only theory that makes sense, that I think fits the evidence or fits the Quran chapter 4 verse 157, is that Jesus was crucified, but he was taken down alive from the cross, or he survived the crucifixion by some kind of supernatural miracle from Allah or God. So I think that supports the Quran chapter 4 verse 157. But anyways, I'm getting away from the point. My point is that there's no solid evidence that Jesus was killed on the cross, and it's very difficult to prove that given the atheistic or naturalistic means, since Jesus was only on the cross for a few hours. And we know for a fact that death by crucifixion typically took days and not hours. So this claim that it's certain that Jesus died on the cross is false, because given miracles and supernatural means, it's possible that it's very possible and cannot be disproven that God kept Jesus alive through the crucifixion. The only people who can say that Jesus died on the cross and not look inconsistent or hypocritical are atheists, because atheists don't believe in the supernatural. But even given atheistic views, even given their naturalistic atheistic views, even if Jesus was crucified, and even if they're saying Jesus died on the cross, they don't know how death by crucifixion works, because in order to die on the cross, you need to be on the cross for a few days. Jesus was on the cross for a few hours. Thus, it's possible that Jesus survived the cross. He was taken down alive from the cross. And, Josephus himself, like I said that 3 people were crucified, 1 was taken down alive. So surviving the crucifixion is certainly possible, even given atheistic naturalistic views on, crucifixion. So this is just my 2 cents on, on Jesus on the cross, etc. Was Jesus killed on the cross? It doesn't, there's no evidence. There's no evidence or reason to believe this. I strongly believe Jesus survived on the cross, and I strongly think that Christians and atheists cannot disprove my hypothesis. Thus, this validates the Quran's claim that they didn't kill him nor did they crucify him. It just looked like they did. Or it seemed to them So means that they didn't succeed in killing him by the method of crucifixion. They didn't succeed by killing him before or after the crucifixion, or rather, when Jesus was put in the tomb, Jesus was raised into heaven, thus explaining the empty tomb, and thus explaining why in the gospel narratives, the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, nobody sees Jesus rise from the dead. Nobody sees the resurrection or the alleged resurrection of Christ. Stay tuned. More videos coming up ahead.